good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another Star Trek episode review here on NerdTube. I'm Major Rage, and I'm joined by my usual Trekkies in arms. To my right is Nick Lachito. How are you this evening, sir?
Major Rage on deck. Golden
Yep.
Glasses award-winning host of the year.
I can't wait for somebody else to have the crown, and so I can plug them every week. I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling that it's a workhorse's time this year. But
We'll see.
speaking of him down below, it's Spider Zam doing whatever a
Pow.
Spider Zam can. How are you, sir?
Mate, fantastic. And I've been playing lots of Spider-Man too. I know I gave it a little bit of a shitty review the other day, but as I've progressed, I am enjoying it a little bit more. I am getting a bit more used to the buttons and the mashing and stuff like that. But that's enough of Spider-Zam and Spider-Man 2. Let's talk Lower Decks.
Indeed, we're talking about Lower Deck Season 4, Episode 9, The Inner Fight. It's written by our showrunner, Mike McMahon, this week, and directed by Brandon Williams. The penultimate episode raised the stakes as the captain asked Beckett's friends to try to distract her with a low-stakes mission, keeping her safe, while the rest of the Cerritos crew looks for former cadet Nick Lucaro from Season 5, Episode 19 of TNG.
So it is
Oh,
confirmed
really?
that
Yeah.
Nick Lucaro in canon, because Lower Decks is canon apparently. Nick Lucaro or whatever Licardo. Nick Licardo is a different person than Tom Paris.
The conspiracy theory is gone. We can change the meme guy's mind.
Oh,
They
yeah,
are
that was the same
different
actor, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's
Yeah, everyone.
Robert
Well,
Duncan McNeil.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
And-
and everyone said that, and everybody said that. Oh well, Nick Licardo got booted out of Starfleet, so then of course he went to like a life of crime, and then he wound up in the penal colony, and then became Tom Paris. But then, Nick Licardo was his alias actually. And I think that was the theory: is that Nick Licardo was his alias in Starfleet because he didn't want to be known as the son of an admiral, Admiral Paris. That's right. I had it
Right, but
backwards.
that
Well, do you
works
think
out
there's a
so
little
well.
bit of an Easter egg there by putting Thomas Riker's name above him, as a dual
Yes.
identity sort of thing going on?
The same
Yeah, I
actor
mean-
playing two roles kind of thing. That
Yep.
was a nice double
Well-
reference right there.
But that also confirms that Thomas Riker survived the purge of the Maquis, because he was a Maquis when he was in DS9. That's the last time we saw him.
Indeed. And when he got away at the end of that episode, and he survived to the time of Lower Decks. Our B plot of so sorry. So the rest of the crew looks for Nick Locarno, and things go awry for Beckett and her crew, and the Rutherford captain and Shax make a startling discovery at the end of this week's episode, which ended up being a two-parter, like Zam predicted.
Yeah, I was kind of happy about my prediction being right for once.
No, I feel like doing this as a two-parter is letting them really let this story kind of sit and take its time and be more fully explored than if they had tried to do two not less connected episodes for the penultimate and then season finale. There lots of backstory for Mariner this week, and we got the reveals on the true nature of the mystery ship and its pilot. What were your overall thoughts of the episodes, fellas? We'll start with Nick Lachito this week.
Actually, I did like the episode. Don't get me wrong. But the revelation about Beckett, Mariner, and the whole what was the ensign's name who died? The Bajoran. I know exactly who she is. I just don't remember her name. Cito, yes. Ensign Cito. I think that's an ass pull. I think it's an utter ass pull.
See, I completely disagree. I love the interconnectedness of that.
I do too, but we've been with these people 4 seasons, and I don't think it's been mentioned at all that they knew each other, right? Like,
I don't even think it's been hinted at.
And all of a sudden now, she's all broken up about Cito's death and everything like. I really feel like that even that is an ass pull, and and I get it. She ranked up, so now this is the reason why she's always trying to get demoted back to ensign, and I don't know. It just felt like a big ass pull, and I just I don't know.
See your gripe. I can see how you would feel that way about it.
Now, that being said, the episode was not ruined for me. I thought it was a very good episode. But I still feel like, and I even enjoyed the Mariner parts of it, but I felt like that reasoning for her to be like this was a huge ass pull, and it just really, really irks me. So, but that's only one point. The rest of the episode, honestly, was really good, I thought. So, anyway, go ahead, Sam.
I'm hoping after this that we finally got closure on Mariner being the way she is regarding being reckless and wanting to be demoted all the time. Because I feel like we've been there, done it, worn the fucking t-shirt by now, and let's just move on from this aspect.
I don't disagree with you on that fact. As I said, I don't disagree with you that we need closure on this topic, but at the same time, it feels like an absolute ass pull. It really does.
Fair enough. Overall, I thought this was a very Star Warsy episode of Star Trek, especially with the B plot.
The elephant in the room. They go to fucking Tatooine and hang out at the Mos Eisley Cantina, like flavored as buds. But great reference. But it was. I think even TrekMovie.com made a more wretched hive of scum and villainy joke in their review.
And this is the thing, because the other day I thought, when it came to that Ferengi episode and the Admiral was doing some dealings with the Ferengi, I thought the Admiral was playing stupid and he had like a long con plan, and I totally misread that. And this time around, Freeman was doing the very thing I suggested the Admiral was doing, and I didn't pick up on it. I mean, she was playing the long con herself. And
I thought we were just seeing Captain Freeman back to her typical ineptitude, and I'm kind of glad we didn't have any backtracking there. While I don't want the show to be just as much about the senior staff as it is the lower deckers, I realize that as they rank up, they're going to intersect more with the upper ranks, and so seeing some development out of them, I feel, is a good thing too.
I enjoyed this episode, and it was good to see T'Lyn back as well.
Mm-hmm. I was going to bring that up, yeah.
So,
I did miss her character. Like, I'm not going to lie, the past couple of weeks, I did miss her character. Like, she was a little bit off-putting in the beginning of the season, in my opinion, but I really feel like she, I really felt like we missed her, like, the past couple episodes. Like, I don't think she needs to be in every episode, but like her being absent for almost 3 to 4 episodes was kind of also a bit, like, can we have her back, please? I kind of like her.
She anchors the group in a really good way, I feel like, and her being there deadpan makes their antics seem funnier and their quirky personality traits stick out more. And I feel like they did a really good job this episode of letting the humor come organically from our characters' traits. They were just being themselves in Star Trek situations, somewhat in Star Wars situations, at least for Rutherford. But no, I feel like a lot of things done right this episode, and the inclusion of T'Lyn again is definitely one of them. Chat's busy tonight. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do some chats here.
Some comments.
Yep, or comments. Sorry. Daniel Van says, today in Trek history, October 26, 1971, Anthony Rapp, Paul Stamets from Disco, it was born. Daniel Vance, the boson darts. That's Ghostbusters. Boat swan whistle or boat swan
whistle.
Yeah. All of the aliens on the planet reminding me of the movie Predators, 2010, and the way none had a clue and began hunting one another. Ryan,
I remember that.
Gerald says, yo. Daniel Vance says, Mariner mentions Ensign Cito, who was a member of Nova Squadron, and Lick Locarno's and Wesley Crusher. Yeah, that
Yeah,
they are that
First
that.
Duty.
Oh, by the way, the actor who played the same actor who plays Paris in Locarno, is he doing the voice for Nick Locarno?
I think he
Yes, sir.
was.
It's
Yeah,
Robert
I thought he
Duncan McNeil
was.
back again.
Robert
He came
Duncan,
back.
yeah.
Yep, he came back
Very
and
good, very good.
played him on the episode with the plate with the Paris appearance.
I was just waiting. I'm waiting for next episode when they mention how he sounds like Tom Paris.
They have to. If they don't do it, it's such a missed opportunity.
Mhm.
Oh, look,
Like-
look, the whole Tom Paris Locarno thing. There could still be something there that could be revealed next week. By the way, so let's just see what happens.
If they take another thing from the meme groups, that would just be great because we know
I got it.
the writers are in our meme group.
I got it. It's something original that Trek has never done before. Transporter clone.
Yeah.
That would be so original, and I would not expect that at all.
See, I didn't say that on purpose because I didn't want it to be that, but we'll see what happens.
Dana Vance says so much architecture from Star Wars in this episode. Ryan
Yeah, I think
says, say ass pull one more time. I dare you. Ass pull.
Yes.
You said it twice this then. All right.
Mr. System says hello. Hello, Mr. System.
Hello, Mr. System.
And Dano Van says Mariner and the Klingon in the cave reminded me of Enemy Line, 1985. Zerky.
Enemy Mine, yeah.
Yeah, Zerky even fell from the sky.
I could tell they were doing some sort of reference there. It felt it, but that was a really good scene. I felt like, but we'll get there.
It's weird. I like the fact that I think one of the things I did appreciate was that it took somebody like a Klingon to get through to Mariner.
He was the perfect one to get through to her. She would never open up to her friends about this.
Yeah, I think Mariner is definitely kind of like more of a Jadzia Dax type character, where it's like, yeah, like she has more in common with like Klingons than you would think. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just.
I was thinking maybe more like Kira. Yeah.
She's definitely a warrior along the lines of those two characters for sure.
Yeah, well, no, Jadzia. I mean, Jadzia had deep ties with Curzon, had deep ties with the Klingon Empire.
Yeah. I know that. So. Watch a real show, nerds. Yeah, we do.
Ginger trolling us. Awesome. It's good to see him. So I feel like we did a good job of balancing the ratio of main plot to B plot this week. And we'll break up our discussion like that. But did you guys, the cold open was interesting this week. I felt like
with the xenomorph chickens.
With the xenomorph chickens that also were like the were like the Compasauruses from Jurassic Park. I felt like a little bit too.
Yeah. I guess I like the fact that this guy, this scientist, goes, I really love these creatures and I really appreciate them. And then the moment they barricade the building, he's scared of them and all of that, and he shows a different side to how he feels about. But then the moment that gets resolved, he goes, "Oh, I'm going to go back to loving them again." Made me laugh so much. Yeah, it was very good.
Ginger Greek says, "I'm sorry. This show is more real than wrestling." And then Ginger Greek says, "Them's fighting words, Vance." So. Now I guess Debatamania 2, Ginger Greek versus Daniel Vance in a text off, where they'll just be doing texts back and forth in the chat.
Yeah. Clever girl, yeah.
Get some
I got really upset when that hunter died.
I was too. Like, he was a pretty cool character. Like, I
would love to see him in the sequel.
But it was more for shock value and basically showing that the raptors are more cunning than human hunters.
Yeah.
So I guess animals, the Velociraptor is the most dangerous prey, and it's not man. It's actually a Velociraptor.
Actually, Batman is the most dangerous hunter, and with enough prep time. Batman can beat anybody.
Can he beat Goku?
Regarding this episode, I like the fact that they wanted to do something that Mariner thought could be dangerous, but they purposely knew it wasn't dangerous because they, the people of the Cerritos, they had their meeting saying, "What the fuck's wrong with Mariner? Why is she doing all this crazy shit?" And they tried to do the most mundane mission possible, but as we all know, in Star Trek, the most mundane mission possible is going to end up being something else, and that was the case. And it was, and I'm glad it wasn't the fact that they were near a very dangerous planet with like lightning and all that shit. That wasn't the reason that caused the problem. It was Klingons. Klingons who, for some reason, I think might be associated with Nick.
They definitely
because
are.
They were,
because they're on that
planet. Don't know why, but they're the ones who they're supervising the exiles on this planet that he's kidnapped. I'm very interested as to how they're going to make that motivation make sense. I feel like that's going to be a linchpin of whether or not I like the next episode.
I think, honest and truly, I think Locarno's just paying the Klingons as muscle.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my impression that I got. I don't think there's like any stakes for the Klingons in it. They're just hired muscle by Locarno, to watch the planet. Because I mean, the Klingons have been known to like take jobs freelance. Like that, like freelance like that.
I mean, we have ones in Enterprise who are basically like just protection thugs, like pulling a mafia style shakedown on that one planet of gas miners. But But no, I feel like the cold open did a good job of reestablishing kind of the concept of Mariner's self-destructiveness and reminding us in a quick way. What did you think of that segment, Cheeto?
Again, I kind of felt like, I mean, I know we've been building up to this whole, but I feel like they kind of dialed it up to 11 in this episode. You know what I mean? Like, if maybe... we know that she's been trying to get herself demoted, but we never really got the impression that she was trying to get herself killed.
Yeah, it is escalated for sure.
Yeah, and they definitely escalated it from recently. And I honestly don't even know yet how I feel about that escalation, whether it makes sense or whether it's kind of meh.
Yeah.
A lot
I couldn't make sense I couldn't make sense of it. Like, I watched this episode twice. I watched it just before we came on, and I really wanted to understand Beckett's motivation. And I know it is intertwined with her friend who passed away, but I still couldn't grasp it, And even though the Klingon kind of made us see the light a little bit, I still wasn't getting it 100%. I mean, I can understand that she doesn't want to be promoted. I get that. That's always been something with her. She just wants to be a fucking ensign. But overall, like the sort of crazy shit she does, it just doesn't make sense. And this was one of those times where I just wasn't getting it.
Yeah, I feel like they turned it up to 11 when it really only needed to be turned up to 8.
I think they're trying to do something with survivor's guilt, but it seems like really extreme symptoms for normal survivor's guilt. And they're maybe trying to do something about PTSD with her Dominion War experiences without outright saying that.
Well, and let's also be clear. I'm pretty sure that this is 20 years after the whole Ensign Sato incident. Like, maybe not 20 years, but I'd have to look up the star dates. But, I'm pretty sure it's been at least 10 to 20 years since the whole, Maquis, her getting killed by the Cardassians. And why doesn't she hate the Cardassians? I mean, maybe she does, because remember that one episode, I think it was a season 2 opener, she was fighting Cardassians or whatever in the holodeck. So, yeah. But still, I really feel like this is an ass pull. I would have much rather them say my cousin, some new character, my cousin died, rather than trying to just shoehorn into a deep cut from TNG.
I can see where you're coming from with that.
Sorry, just to go on a little tangent here. But you would regarding PTSD, if I only had one season on the Enterprise or any of these other shows, which are like several seasons long, I would suffer PTSD for every episode that of all the shit that's occurred to me or the ship or my colleagues during the course of like 25 episodes a season. So the fact that in TNG and all these other shows that there's like 7 seasons of over 2 dozen episodes, the PTSD must be up there fucking here, so theoretically, but it isn't. It's like these guys go about their daily business, after fucking every life-threatening fucking scenario that they're in. It's crazy.
They're so inflappable during the golden age, and I feel like showing the wear and tear that these incidents would have on people is one of the better aspects of New Trek.
Yeah.
The people being these inflappable, bulletproof kind of paragons. Picard gets assimilated and it destroys his world and shatters him, but he's better 2 episodes later because he fights in the mud with his brother in France.
Dude, he lives an entire life, which is only like a few seconds long for the
As
people on the
Kanan.
Enterprise. Yeah, I mean, he lives in an entire whole life, and that's just all good. Like, you would have thought that would have had the effect on him afterwards.
Yep,
Knowing that he's lived a life, so he's been assimilated, he's lived a life, and he's been brainwashed. He's been almost killed. He's been taught. He's been tortured. All of these things, but next week, it's all fucking good again. Yeah, this is like I just
loose continuity.
Yeah. Like I said, if I had one season of what happened to me regarding TNG or anything like that, I'd be PST for the fucking eyeballs. I mean, like I think myself, God damn, every fucking week something's going on with me, and they've had 7 seasons of that shit. So like they've changed. They've been like they've transformed into different creatures. They've devolved. They've like Jesus Christ, being kidnapped and and all of that, brainwashed, fucking manipulated, mind wiped. Like Jesus Christ, how could they fucking not have suffer from PTSD? I think what? Fuck you, Starfleet. This ain't fucking worth it. I'm gonna go back to my fucking shop and make some good old Creole cooking. I mean, something like that.
That might bring up a really good discussion topic for Highly Illogical podcast is top 10 or top PTSD moments in Star Trek history. Things that would incite the most PTSD, and Wolf 359 I'm sure would be right in there. I mean, look how many people that's affected that have just come across the show in general. Even with Shaw recently. And Shaw, man, he really did that. He did that justice.
Any Trek series that handles the future and goes into the 25th century has that event to pull from. And as the millennials age, and even like some of the Gen Ys that were old enough to remember 9/11, like we'll see more and more of Wolf 359 being used as an analog for that event, I feel like. But no, that I'm tangenting now. This would be perfect for Highly Illogical podcast, which is what we hope to do during this time slot while we wait for Discovery to come back around.
So I'm just gonna do a couple comments unless you've got something to follow up with, Zam, on that. Okay.
No, please go ahead.
And for some reason everything's really small on my screen, so I can't really read. Hold on. Okay.
The mystery ship does look a lot like Tom Paris's Delta Flyer with the appellative armor. I still think there's more to Locarno at this point.
Probably. I mean, obviously, he's technically a main foil for the season, technically. Even though I thought it would have been like Badgie or the AIs, although they did a good job at faking this out because they really, put those theories to bed earlier in the season. Daniel Vance says ass pull count 4. Listen, until I get up to Krillin from Team 4 Stars, count that's what I'm going for. It's like 37 or something like that. So that's just an ass pull, though. I mean, out of nowhere. Gonna have to put it back in soon if he keeps it up. That's true.
Can't
I'm
have
still
you
waiting for the character.
prolapsed over here.
Yep. I'm still waiting for. As I say, we got to wait for Ben Dover to get here. That's something he would say. I'm still waiting for the character called Raygun. What were you gonna say, Sam?
By the way, Mr. System 96, like chat, type in Muslimic ray gun in YouTube.
Oh God, that sounds
Just
offensive. That sounds hilariously offensive.
Oh, it's so funny, man. You know what I mean?
Dana Vance says someone must say it. Lower Decks made Harry Mudd boring. Was Harry Mudd in an
Harry
episode?
Mudd is overrated.
I agree. Harry Mudd is overrated.
I like the
character.
I like the cartoony one way better than like the sociopathic, sadistic one played
womanizing one from the original series.
Well, that one's funny. The one who's sadistic and just wants to kill Lorca over again. Yeah, the Discovery one, like that. He's a shade too far, but like the original one, Mr. Mustache twirling, like he's such a vaudeville villain. Like he's great. I can't like I don't know why I'm getting cast as a Klingon and not him, to be honest. Like, it'd be the role of a lifetime for a guy who used to play melodrama villains.
Yeah.
But he's got short hair.
Okay, Mr. System says it's the same story every few episodes, an energy-based being taking over one or more of the crew. What happened? What? Energy-based? Are you talking about the original series, or are you talking about not Lower Decks?
No, I don't think he's seen Lower Decks, but I think we're talking about the PTSD and how
things. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Barclay turning into a
jelly deals.
Spider.
Yeah, that's when they were devolving. He turned into a fucking spider.
Did Rutherford have Miley's O'Brien and Starfleet Academy? I mean, he probably did, but I mean,
Miles.
Yes, I know Miles. Miles, was he an instructor or did he be like lead the engineering department at Starfleet Academy? I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember what they had him do after his time at DS9.
I know he's going to Starfleet Academy, but I can't remember if he was going to be an instructor or if he was going to like be in charge of the engineering, like, department, like the engineering
the
leading
head custodian there.
Instead
of just being the head maintenance guy of DS9. He's got to have such a like fat wallet of key cards. Like, the high school janitors got key rings these days. It would be like a stack of pads or a bunch of key cards.
Let's see, he probably doesn't have. Oh, and our friend, Funeral Friend 45 is here. He says, Trump the dump. Okay.
Yeah. Well, look, I've actually said that if he ever goes to jail, I will sing a rendition of Donald Wage Your Trousers, which is a Scottish song, on the World's Gone Insane podcast, which is tomorrow, by the way.
I would pay good money to see that.
Yeah, nice plug, Sam.
That's a great segue and plug. I love it because I mean we do talk about more than Star Trek here, and like it. So it's a totally great channel to subscribe to. That being the best channel that you've kind of sort of heard of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What did you guys make of the Klingon character? We've mentioned him a little bit, but I really enjoyed him, and we talked earlier about how he's.
I would like to see him come back.
I would too. I
hope he doesn't get killed off next week. I can see him getting killed off next week.
I can too now.
It kind of shows you, like, like the honor system and stuff like that. It portrayed it really well when Klingons go on about honor and stuff like that.
He sometimes actually dives into it, and sometimes it seems like it's lip service.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you got like a bunch of crazy ass Klingons who like to cloak their ships and then attack people afterwards. I mean, that's not honorable at all. But Exactly. But nevertheless, and they want to go around fucking killing people and stuff like that, which I don't find honorable. But there were moments, I mean, they were on the planet and they were trying to survive. So I guess it was survival of the fittest. But he kind of saw things in a different light through Mariner, and Mariner through a different light through him. So they helped each other out to a degree. And he seemed like a good character. I like him.
Daniel Van says, I knew he was Klingon before the reveal, when the pink blood was shown as he stepped in the bear trap. Yes, I noticed that as well. That's how I pretty much knew he was Klingon. I mean, it just kind of confirms the fact that, Klingons have pink blood, not red blood.
I thought it was purple.
I mean, it's like a pinkish purple.
It's like fuchsia, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, our blood can be different, like different shades of red too. It just depends on your iron count. I mean, so
Also, the level of oxygenation, right?
Yeah, level of oxygen. Well, that's also with the iron, because the iron mixes with the oxygen, and and that's what takes the oxygen throughout your body.
I swear, I've seen in things like maybe DS9 and stuff like that, where these Klingons are having the shit beaten out of them, and their blood was red.
There's definitely inconsistencies throughout Star Trek with Klingon blood. Some people have attested that to the fact of the genetic manipulation with the augments.
Of course,
I know
the fuck out of it.
So when that whole thing, so I know there's all sorts of theories out there. Some say that their blood turned more red when while that genetic coding was that augmentation was in them or whatever. They gave them the flat foreheads, and then of course, Strange New World just kind of blew that out of the water. But
you can still headcanon it as some of the not everybody in the Empire was infected with that flu.
Well, and you could also say that we only saw Klingons on the outskirts of Klingon space, so maybe the Flathead Klingons were like exiled more towards the outskirts of Klingon space, and more of the genetically pure Klingons were more like a caste system. You are impure blood, so you now get to live on the outside of Klingon space. Whereas we purebloods with ridges on our forehead, we live in the heart of the Empire.
That would track, especially with 60s Klingons.
Yep. Ryan Gerald says Mofo killed the captain with his teeth, was implied with blood on his face anyway.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Savage, man. I'm like, yeah, he's a real Klingon. He's taking over the Sith, ship the Sith way.
And he says, because there's no way it's a production error. It's
I wasn't a fan of how they got into the ship. They just ripped the hole open with his bare hands, please.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
I don't give a fuck that you're a Klingon. You could be a goddamn Vulcan. I find that unbelievable.
Yeah, their hulls have got to be a bit stronger to tolerate warp. Well, not just warp speed, but the vacuum of space and phaser fire if their shields.
Lasers.
Exactly, Also, it wasn't established that Klingons had purple fuchsia blood until Star Trek VI. That's the first time we really saw the blood, and the reason why they did that was because they wanted it to be a bloody scene, but they would not let them put that much blood on screen, so they just changed the color of the blood so that they could get away with having that much blood on screen.
Ridiculous.
Green slime
it's still
out of people's mouths on Funimation.
It's still it's still blood.
I know, but it's a different color. It's not red. So, but that's why. Hold on. Okay, so Dana Van says, in the novels, there was a whole Klingon genocide going on during the Augment era. The TOS human-headed Klingons were murdered left and right. Well, that also tracks for Klingons. I mean, genocide they do conquest. The reason why you don't see the Klingons have a decent amount of territory, but yet don't. They have a big amount of territory, but you don't see any other races that are subjugated by the Klingon Empire, is because they pretty much wipe out a whole civilization and take the planet for themselves. That's why it's always really funny when you sit there and you talk about the Klingons, actually or the Federation working with Klingons, because they are mad. They committed genocide on the Tribbles. The Tribbles, for the love of God, like, like, so
Yeah.
Klingons are not, like, I think maybe by the time like the end
Well,
of
the
the
triples,
original
they can be problematic if they keep multiplying, so
yeah, but still, I mean, there's a difference between genocide and crowd control.
yeah.
Or I'm sorry, what is it? Not crowd control. What does China do?
Population control.
Population control. Yeah. The other thing is a lot of people say that it was, and I know I'm tangenting. I'm sorry. It was like one of the things in the Khitomer Accords is the Klingons, in order to get help from the Federation after that whole thing went down, they could not do that anymore. Like, they were doing that, but once they kind of had that alliance in the Khitomer Accords, the Klingons could not, expand through genocide and conquest. So that's why you kind of didn't see that in next gen DS9 and all that. So those are just theories I've seen. It's never been mentioned that I know of. Daniel Vance can probably correct me on it, but I think there's solid headcanon theories. I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, it faced with outside threats and needing allies, it could possibly cause a shift in their culture and military tactics first. But I we pretty much went through the entirety of the A plot, with the exception of the reveal at the end that Mariner was taken to the Locarno ship, and we get the big reveal.
What the holy minimal hell? Oh, by the way,
that was great.
The thing that made me laugh the most, just so you know, is when Mariner sneaked out the cave and she walked over Boimler, and Boimler went, "Oh, Beverly Crusher, teach me ice skating in his sleep." Oh my God, I love it. I had some drink in my mouth at the time. I know I had to choke on it, because if I didn't, I would have sprayed it all over my keyboard and television, and I didn't want that to happen. So I decided to chance my life on it. That was so funny. That was so funny. I was dying.
Worshipping somebody, and it's just the humor came from the characters being our characters this week, and I really like that. I think that that's a lot funnier than stupid. Oh, they're both on the holodeck dressed as Mark Twain. Isn't this funny? It's just
exactly.
Just let them be themselves. Any particular thoughts about Mariner getting taken to Locarno's ship, other than it?
I think she's been taken because Locarno probably thinks that she's a rebel, and she
will
wants,
help
and
him.
she's mischievous,
but
and all of that sort of stuff.
But that's kind of a recycled plot point with Mariner, because remember, didn't the archaeologist try to recruit her too because she wasn't right for Starfleet? Like, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. That's why I'm saying, like, this whole,
but not everybody knows. I agree. I 100% agree with you. I don't think necessarily everybody knows who Mariner truly is, or they assumed they know who she is. So that's why she gets herself in these sort of scenarios. So this person's going to learn very quickly that hiring Mariner for whatever he has planned is not going to work out.
All I know is that if Mariner doesn't mention, come on, somebody tried to do this to me last year. She was an archaeologist or something. If she doesn't mention that it's a recycled plot, like, I don't mind that I don't mind that that's how we get Mariner from point A to point B. Okay, like, I'm not that upset about it, but it is definitely a recycled plot point. Since this show is very self-referential, if they don't mention that, I feel like it's not even an opportunity. Just it's
lazy,
disservicing the show.
Okay, yeah.
Like, because they're very self-aware. So yeah, I really feel like if they don't do that kind of just get it out of the way, we know this is recycled and this is how we're getting Mariner from point A to point B. But still, I don't know. That's my thought on it. As I said, the episode was good. It's just some of the plot points were just kind of like, really, like
it. I feel like it's going to be really hard for me to put a number on this one. I feel like it's kind of unfair to episodes that are two-parters to kind of analyze them in a vacuum, whether or not these things from this episode end up being stupid or end up being decent writing is going to be heavily determined by what they do with it next week. So I was telling Ryan earlier that I'm going to struggle putting a number on this one in a vacuum without having the context of next week. So my number this week will probably have an asterisk next to it.
Either that or we wait till next week and we rank, all 3 episodes. That's up to you guys, though. Don't bother me.
I would be fine either way. So tiebreak vote goes to Zam. We're not quite there yet.
We
so.
ranking them this week, or are we ranking them next week when we've seen both episodes?
I'm going to still rank this episode for what it is, and I'm going to rank the series for what it is. Regardless of this being a 2-parter. I mean, theoretically, this whole thing's connected anyway. We've seen this ship blow the fuck out of various different aliens, and obviously they're transporting them to this planet. We've realized that now as well. But it's all one big culmination anyway. So you can look at this as like part 8. I
don't think so. I mean,
ongoing storyline.
No, I don't. I feel like this is kind of like the MCU thing, where it's like you see little hints of Thanos in phase 1, throughout the Infinity Saga, but then you get it at the end. But still, every episode up until this point has been its own individual adventure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like the alien ship has had that much of a bearing on any of these episodes for it to be like that much. Like, this episode is the first episode where we are focused on the actual.
I do agree, but even if it's a 2, I mean, look. Okay, I'll look at it. I'll take it in a different perspective. When we watch other shows, like for instance, like Loki, every episode's connected. It's an ongoing story. It's not episodic like Lower Decks is to a degree. But we still mark those particular episodes individually for what it is. So regardless of this being a 2-parter, I'm going to still mark this episode individually for what it is.
Okay, I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, it's more like. You've
got a really good point.
Oh, okay. Did you see that, Mage? Like,
I lagged out for a second. I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
I get your point on that, but at the same time, the Loki is an on-running thing throughout the whole season. Like, every episode is focused on this one thing, whereas this is just a 2-parter. It's fine. Let's just rank it this week. It's not. Now we're just arguing the point to beat a dead horse at this point. But a couple comments here before we. Oh no, wait. Already did that one. My bad. Rankomania. We could do that. We could do a whole show based on like tier rankings and tier lists and stuff like that. We have plenty of tier lists here on this channel. If you go, there are top 10s, tier lists. You find we've got Star Trek, Star Wars, even Tom Cruise movies. We've got MCU. We've got
Final Fantasy Summons.
Nope. We do have Final Fantasy. We have Final Fantasy games on here in a tier list. We did rankings of the summons. So we've got stuff. Okay, and then Jim says hello.
Yeah, you just quickly pause that one, didn't you? Yeah, Zam has the correct opinion. You're damn right, Jelly Deals.
And then Ryan says Zam has a correct opinion. But is it correct if it's an opinion?
This is the
there's
internet,
more.
So yes.
Daniel Vance says this is a Rick and Morty episode of in the Star Trek skin. Well, I mean, Star Trek Infinite is basically Stellaris with a Star Trek skin. So I mean, why not? The overall story is the only thing that makes it Star Trek. Everything else has been road signs to keep your attention. I don't believe that at all, Daniel. This is why I want to get you on like a highly logical podcast or a Debatemania. I don't care. I know you don't want to be on screen, and that's 100% fine. But God, I really wish I could discuss with you.
I said before, we get him on. Yeah, we don't see his face, and he has a voice modulator.
Yes,
that's how we do it. Because I don't want to ever because when you've never seen somebody. Yeah, when you've never seen somebody, and all they've ever been to you is text. I don't want that to ever change. And so Daniel Vance has to remain as this mystery entity.
Can't
and I don't want that to ever change.
Discord? I think Discord has a built-in voice filter.
No, but you can use those AI voices.
Mhm.
Like the ones. Anyway, I don't want to go there, but you know what I'm saying. AI voice and a silhouette. That's it. That's all he needs. Yeah.
His identity is being masked
So
for his protection.
yeah, exactly.
So are we running through the B plot really quick, or did we already go through
Yeah,
that?
we'll do.
Yes,
Yeah,
please. Yes,
I mean,
please.
yeah, but we touched on a lot of it. New Axton feels very much like Tatooine. The can mud
Oh,
feels like the
it's
Mos
not.
Eisley
It's not like.
Cantina.
It's not. It's not. It's not like old Axton, which Shanks
That was a good
said,
joke.
which was very funny.
That was a good joke.
And then the people in charge of like the gate going, "Oi, mate, what are you doing?" Like they're making them very British or very Englishy, Londony, to be more precise.
Because the
Yeah,
Imperials
that
were
made me
always
laugh too.
British.
Yeah,
But I
I
feel
think so.
like
Yeah,
they were
they'll definitely play up the Star Wars, and the fact that they were trying to haggle their way into that bar, and they're wearing their Starfleet uniforms, which is
and
so
she's
obvious
pretending they're not
that
Starfleet.
yeah,
I was just like, this is particularly inept, even for Captain Freeman. I can't believe that I didn't see her ruse coming.
I knew that the guy, the bounty hunter, was somebody. I didn't know
Boba
if it
Fett.
was Locarno
I
or
thought
if
it was
it.
Locarno.
I thought it was Locarno too, to be honest, but I didn't know if it was Locarno or if it was someone else. But I didn't think it would be Billups. That's for damn sure.
Like the
That-
least
No,
badass intimidating person in the crew. It was a
well,
good fake
well,
out.
we realized that the person was on their side just before he removed the helmet. I thought it was going to be Ransom under there. So
I think it
to
was
see Billups
funnier
under
though
there
that
was
it was
actually
Billups.
Yeah,
I'm glad it was
it was
Billups
a lot more
because
like him complaining about the helmet was perfect. That's the
yeah.
right line to come out of Phillips. It would be it doesn't line up right with
Yeah,
Ransom.
Honestly, but
trust
I
me,
guess
masks and helmets, man, they're awful to wear. I know what you mean. I know what you
but
mean.
yeah, but I mean, what do you guys think? My one of my thoughts during that part was, why is if this is a scum and villainy area, why is Freeman down there? Why is Ransom not down there? He's the first officer. The first officers are supposed to go on dangerous away missions of non-diplomatic value. I don't
But
understand Star Trek's.
she's got Shanks. She's got fucking Shanks alongside her,
No, but
I
and
mean,
the
even
fact that
Riker
this was a
always
count
had
on
ruse
Worf.
that needed to be played out.
No, I disagree because it's
Yeah, but
in Star Trek. It's always supposed to be the first officer goes on the away missions, and TNG is the only show that did that right, in my opinion.
But even
look.
sometimes
All
Picard
I'm
would
saying,
ignore Riker and go down and park Riker on the ship, so it's not unprecedented.
this
Even
would
there.
yeah.
But she seems to
I
always
think
be
far
going on the
Marin
away
is
missions.
no, but I think as far as Marin is concerned, like this long con, she needed to be at the helm of it. She didn't want it the fuck up. It was her idea, and
Ransom doesn't
last
have
thing
the
she needed
wherewithal
was
to pull it
maybe
off.
yeah, exactly. I think maybe Ransom would have been a bit too gung ho, and then he'd be having bar fights and shit like that. At least with her, she was coming across as inept, and that's really what she wanted, and it worked for
Oh, I
her.
get it. And then
So
putting a woman in that inept position made it more believable. Oh
yeah,
my gosh, we are
I hate.
nerdrotic, or what? Or the Phantom Menace, or the Fandom
Oh
Menace.
god, look, to a degree, that is the particular case, which made it even more sweeter that she outsmarted them
Oh yeah, absolutely.
by basically stoking their misogyny. So it was even better
Yeah,
in that sense.
I really liked what they were trying to say about preconceptions with this B plot, and especially that it
Yeah,
went both ways. I loved that moment when the guy was like, "Oh, you think you can get in here just because you think you're better than us?" And they had Captain Freeman's eyes go up and to the left as she said, "No, we don't think that." Because Starfleet people very much act like they think that they're better than other people very often, especially Captain Freeman. So I like that they're kind of acknowledging that that sort of disrespect goes two ways and that it's never a good thing. Nothing good comes of it.
Oh, that situation with that little alien, which looks like it was an animatronic, and it was actually
The
an
puppet,
alien. The
I
whole
thought that was
fucking
kind of
time.
dumb.
Oh god,
Baylock's puppet from
that was
TOS.
hilarious.
I thought that was stupid. That's a deep cut from TOS. That was from one of the
It is,
episodes
yeah.
of TOS. Yeah.
Yeah, but this captain of a ship pretended that was the captain. His name was Baylock.
Yes.
I mean, they
and,
got what they
okay, so
wanted because then that by manipulating the alien and fucking it over, it ended up selling its intel to Billups. So it worked out really well.
yeah,
Genius.
I'm
Now,
gonna go
how they
backwards.
knew that it would react that way, though, is kind of like, But
I agree with Daniel Vance. I'm going to go backwards through the comments really quick. He says, best line of the episode, we don't have time for Miggly Mo. We never have time for Miggly Mo. Fuck that
That
dude.
is Miggly.
Turned out to be Boba Sweat.
Because
Oh, go ahead, Zam.
just to answer your question, Mage, is that she said at the end that they use their biases against them. They don't like Starfleet. They knew they were Starfleet, so they did the very thing they were hoping them to do. Like it was a gamble, but they analyzed the situation and it panned out for them.
yeah, that one just sticks out as the particularly lucky guess.
Yeah.
But it's me being me.
Ryan says, turns out to be Boba Sweats. Ayo! Daniel Vance says,
Yeah, I was saying Boba Fett. Yeah.
When they walked into the bar, they showed a melted pink guy. I had to pause to make sure it wasn't the melted guy from RoboCop. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Like Darth Vader. I concur. Yeah, I know.
I concur.
So, like I said, it was just it was good seeing Mariner, being on top of things. Sorry, not Mariner, Freeman being on top of things and being one step ahead and outsmarting, the scum and villainy. I like it a lot. I very much appreciated it. It was very good.
I am glad though that it did turn out, because I don't want Freeman to be inept, but they have done that a couple times this season. They've even done that with Pike in Strange New Worlds this past season. They did make Pike seem very inept in 1 or 2 episodes this season, which really went against the character that we
nobody's
had known.
perfect.
I know nobody's perfect.
Nobody's
These were
perfect.
pretty blatant.
And this particular ruse, worked in this particular situation, but that scenario is not around all the time. I mean, she was very much aware of how the Ferengis were more than her own admiral. So she's very good at dealing with like scum and villainy, so to speak.
Yeah.
She can handle them pretty well.
Daniel Vance says, let me guess. Cheeto clone has never seen RoboCop. Well, I know original Cheeto has seen RoboCop, so I have all of his memories. So I have seen RoboCop. I just don't. It's been so long since I've seen it. I honestly don't remember the melty guy, but I have seen RoboCop many years ago.
I mean, it's a good film, not only with the action and stuff like that and the violence and all, but it's also Paul Verhoeven's reflection on society and how it will change. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it, and in the way you can see it today. So. Yeah, he was right. It was spot on back in 1987.
Great commentary on police brutality and corruption too.
Yeah, for sure. Stuff like that film, 36 years old, man. It's crazy.
Making me feel ancient, man. So, do we have anything else we want to talk about in particular about this episode, or do we want to give it some marks?
I'm interested to see what happens next episode. But I agree with Zam. Is that Nick Locarno's gonna appeal to Mariner's rebellious side and try to get, and as I said, it's already been done. That's my problem with that. I don't mind getting.
Well, let's just see if that pans out. I assume that's going to be the case, but we can be pleasantly surprised.
I hope they're going to swerve us, and there's going to be some other reason why he took Mariner.
I mean, there could be other. For all we know, like in that ship, we might see 7 of 9, Beverly Crusher, and Thomas Riker all together.
That would be funny. Actually,
awesome, but
wait a minute.
Unfortunately,
No, wait.
This
So
is
okay,
this
so
is
wait.
pre-Picard. So
Walk through this with me. So Nick Locarno was in Nova Squadron with Ensign or Cadet Sato, right? So that means that Nick Locarno probably knows Mariner personally.
Yeah. Yeah, she acted like she knew him. She was like, "Nick, what are you doing here?" Like, she was genuinely
yeah,
surprised to see her
So what that base
friend,
so
like their old
probably
schoolmates.
he's probably going to appeal to their probably cadet friendship instead of just being like, "Hey, you're rebellious." Maybe he'll actually try to go out about the angle of,
He'll be like, we always, we did what we needed to do back in the day. They threw me out needlessly. It was bullshit. Help
he looks
me.
a bit older though, but they've aged his character. He's got
He's went
greys.
through
Like you
some.
saw the
He's
photograph of him.
like he's went
He's
through some
grayed up
shit,
a bit, so he might have been her superior officer or something at one point.
No, they
But
were
yeah,
cadets
for sure she's
together.
worked under him.
no, she
Oh
would. They were.
really?
They said they were at the academy together because Ensign Sato was also
Okay.
in Nova Squadron with Nick Locarno. Now maybe they were. No, they were in the same year, weren't they? All of them,
Yeah, and
Wesley and.
Sito graduated ahead of her, is what Mariner says to Ma. And
So yeah. So okay. So
that's how
then yeah, she was an
is.
underclassman compared to Sato, but. Okay, so maybe they will go the route of, hey, I know you, I know this is blah 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 blah, and then we're gonna still get that same angle of, no, I believe in Starfleet, which we actually also got in this episode. So I just it's treaded water. That's my only issue with this
Yeah.
with this reveal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if
Well, like I said, once again, let's just find out what happens next week before we
yeah,
jump
but
to
I like
conclusions. I
speculating.
totally get it.
Speculating's fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
in the sense that speculating is fun, but I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want us to feel some sort of sense of disappointment by assuming that it's going to be the way that we speculate it to be. So, in that particular sense, I'm just going to hold out. I mean, there's a good chance that we're probably right, but I'll love it if we're wrong. So,
All right. What would you put?
yeah.
What would you give it number wise, Cheeto?
All right, I'm putting the poll up right now. I just hit put
Oh, my
poll.
bad.
It's fine. I didn't know. I'm gonna give it an. I was gonna give it an 8, but I think after talking with you guys, I think I'm gonna go with a 7. Only because there are some things here that are retreaded water. It was a good episode. I did enjoy it, but after I'm pulling a major rage this week. After talking with you guys and like kind of going through it, I'm like, I kind of actually want to give it a 7 because not that it's a bad episode by any stretch, but I don't feel like it's as good as I originally thought it was. So I'm going to give it a 7.
Wow, taking a page from my book. I can see you saying that. Scarlet's Fire, she gave it a 7 as well when we were talking about it this morning when we watched it over breakfast. Spider Zam, what are your marks for this episode?
I'm actually the opposite to Cheeto on this one. I was going to give it a 7, but I've decided to give it an 8. I thought this episode there was some moments of heart. It was good to see Talin back. The Star Warsness of it was pretty cool. It didn't overdo it, even though it resembled it. And at the same time, Freeman coming off as somebody who outsmarts these goons, whether it be through the misogyny or whatnot, was really nicely done, and it sets us up for a good cliffhanger. It gave us a good cliffhanger that sets us up for the next episode as well. So I'm okay with this episode. I liked it. It was pretty good. It answered some of the questions regarding what's happening to these aliens that they were all obviously put on this particular planet. Why? Hopefully, we'll find that out next week. But at least we know that they were alive; they're not dead. So
Well, we knew that last
these are
week
all
that they were
good things.
alive because they mentioned that they had the footage that the Binar ship was
All right,
actually
yeah,
towed away.
fair enough. But we got to see them this particular time around as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there's it has done its job in hopefully padding out and making things making things amicable for next week. So I give it an 8. It was a good episode as far as I was concerned.
Okay, very fair points. I'm going to give it an 8 with an asterisk. if I really enjoy what they do with next week's episode, I'm going to bump it up to 9. I really loved the First Duty and the Lower Decks episodes of TNG. Those are two of my all-time favorite TNG episodes, and I really like that they're bringing these characters back and doing stuff with those characters. But that being said, if they do it poorly, this was still a good episode, and I agree with all the points that Zam made. It's filling stuff out. It's setting up for the season finale. It's a very serviceable penultimate episode, and I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to stick with my 8 that I hit this morning, but with an asterisk.
I do want to hit this point really hit that Daniel Vance brought up. He said Nick will tell Mariner that Sito is alive. I don't want that. I feel like that disservices, you know, the gut check when she did die in TNG. Even though yes, they didn't find a body, they did, but I still feel yes. And Ryan is right. It's an ass pull. Or maybe he was saying with the.
I hate to say it.
Maybe he's saying instead of an asterisk, you should put it's 8 with an asshole or an ass pull.
Or an ass pull. Okay, we'll put that.
Daniel Vance's theory is pretty good.
I like it.
Very good, actually.
Like, I don't like it, but I can see them doing it. If that makes sense.
I hope it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. I hope that's not the case, but I can see them doing it too.
Yeah, I don't want. I think that like that's kind of like the whole Tony Stark thing. It's like, you know,
please don't bring him back.
Yeah, just don't bring him. Like you can't. You move on with now. If you want to bring a variant in or like a mirror universe version, like a variant or mirror universe version, that's one thing. But it's like, even like with yesterday's Enterprise, we had Tasha Yar back, but it wasn't the actual Tasha Yar. It was a variant of Tasha Yar, in that altered
from yesterday's Enterprise.
So it's like, I don't mind that stuff. And that's just like with Tony Stark. I don't mind if they do a variant of Tony Stark that comes back. Like, it's still Robert Downey Jr., but like, no, the sacrifice of the main canon character, I think, needs to stand. And as I said, if you want to do a mirror universe Sito, fine. I like the mirror universe, and I would not be upset about it. Maybe like mirror universe Sato joins up with Nick, like this universe is Nick Locarno, and then that's where they kind of get this whole like thing going because she knew that Nick was, friends with.
I don't want any of that mirror universe. No.
Yeah, mirror universe. I love mirror universe.
No. I'm done with. As somebody who is the biggest fan of parallel universes, things like the fucking MCU has ruined that for me recently. So, no, I don't want it for this. Sometimes it's just a cop out. What I do want is resolution next week. I don't want a cliffhanger. I wouldn't mind them ending the season with an avenue that means that certain things are going to change for the following season, but no fucking cliffhanger, please.
No cliffhanger
with this fucking spaceship. Yeah, with this spaceship and shit like that.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in Mariner's character arc of her self-sabotage.
Because what they end up doing, what they end up doing is that the cliffhanger then gets resolved in the first episode of the following season. What the fuck's up with that?
Strange New World.
No, let's just like just resolve this fucking shit next week and give us some indications of where the season will go the following week. Like with season 1, when it ended, Boimler obviously left the ship and he was going to be on the Titan and stuff like that. So that was the indication of what was season 2 was going to be. So something along those lines, yeah.
And that lasted for a couple of episodes of season 2 and didn't get wrapped up in the very first episode. But yeah, that's been our episode review of Star Trek: The Lower Decks season 4, episode 9. Oh, did you have something else, Cheeto?
I just wanted to say right now our poll is at 50%, 50-50 between 5 and 7 and 8 and 9. So those two. So somebody, and there's like 11 people watching. Somebody go in there and vote and give us that tipping point. Either 5, or maybe you want a 10. Maybe you want a 1 through 4. Hit that poll button, man. We put that up there so we can hear your guys' opinions. Because right now it's straight down the middle between 5 and 7 and 8 and 9.
We don't come here to listen to ourselves talk. We love getting the audience's opinion. That's why
I come here to listen to Mage talk.
Aww.
The Golden Glasses award-winning host.
Well, then I better knock this plug out of the park and tell everybody that I appreciate them showing up tonight and joining us in the chat. I love hearing everybody's opinions every week. That's why we talk about so much different stuff here, because we're interested in it and we want to catch a wide array of opinions. So we talk about MCU, DCEU, sports entertainment, a little Final Fantasy, a little Dragon Ball. Cover current events with the Friday night The World's Gone Insane. Let's talk about it.
I come hoping to see Zam fall asleep and sleep mumble his theories.
I think he's done that maybe one time on the Friday podcast. Are you planning on
I
doing
try my
that
best.
tomorrow? Or what do you have on the docket for that tomorrow, Zam, at 5 Eastern?
It's more regarding what Ginger has as well, but there are certain things, unfortunately, not necessarily good things. So I don't want to leave things on a Debbie Downer too much. But we watch it tomorrow. We've got things that we've got hopefully a fair bit to talk about.
There's a lot to discuss going on right now, but we're here for a little escapism right now. I see what you mean by that. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Consider subscribing to NerdTube. If you've enjoyed this review, hit the like button. If you come down the line and watch it as a VOD, let us know in the comments below what you thought of this week's episode. Are our opinions on the mark, or are we full of it? We genuinely want to know. But until next time, thank you for watching. You've been watching NerdTube, the best channel that you've kind of sort of heard of. Live long and prosper.